Welcome to Building the Future, hosted by Kevin Horick. With millions of listeners a month, Building the Future has quickly become one of the fastest rising programs, with a focus on interviewing startups, entrepreneurs, investors, CEOs, and more. The radio and TV show airs in 15 markets across the globe, including Silicon Valley. For full showtimes, past episodes, or to sponsor the show, please visit buildingthefutureshow.com.
Welcome back to the show. Today we have Manalie Yavatkar. She's the founder and CEO at Palm. Manalie, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show. I think what you guys are building, well, I know actually what you guys are building is much needed because selfishly, I pre-ordered one. I'm excited because well, we'll get into it. But before we get into Palm and the product you're building, maybe let's start off with your background and kind of where you grew up and then where you went to school.
Yeah, definitely. I think my background actually really influenced Palm. So it's just great. I was born in Kentucky, but I grew up in Portland, Oregon. So growing up in Oregon, you're surrounded by nature. It's so pretty all the time. You spend a lot of time outside, hiking, biking, just as a kid, you're always outside basically.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you you gain an appreciation for nature and the environment. And specifically, I went to Montessori as a child, which they really promote gardening. We used to compost, being outside. You had lots of pests in the classroom, like snakes and turtles and all kinds of things. So you love animals. So that was really great. And that's I think where my interest in sustainability really started. Basically in middle school, we watched An Inconvenient Truth, and that's that's where I really realized how big problem is that climate change is. How it's a huge problem, and I didn't really realize that until watching that documentary.
Interesting.
And then, from there I went to high school, and that's when I was actually on student government, so I was able to have a platform and actually, put action behind my interest in sustainability.
Interesting.
I started a campaign at my school to green the school.
Oh, wow.
We eventually became LEED certified, which was amazing. And I wrote a handbook to help other schools green their schools and started a whole coalition. So that's sort of like where my interest in sustainability started.
Okay. So you went to university. What did you take and why?
Yeah. I went to Columbia University and I studied biomedical engineering. So I was also very interested in medicine. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. I was pre-med in college, and I also really loved engineering. So growing up, I did a lot of like robotics, science fair. So I always loved building things, and I thought biomedical engineering would sort of meld those two things together very well.
Sure.
And then, I was pre-med. I took all my pre-med classes, and then senior year, I decided I didn't want to learn medicine anymore. And yeah, that was a crazy decision, but it was really based on this internship that I had before my senior year at Intel, where I was.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I was working in their new devices for building wearables. So it was like back when, the wearable craze was happening. And we were prototyping all these new technologies in the wearable space. And I got to work on a project building these glasses that measure heart rate from the bridge of your nose.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and that was a really cool project. I got to do all the hardware and the software. So I built out a small little app that shows you your heart rate. And I loved creating a physical product, and I loved building something. That was when I was like, I actually don't want to go to med school. I think I want to pursue tech.
Over the years, I've had a number of people that a similar situation to you is like they thought they were going to go to med school, and then something happens. Usually, like before they go, sometimes it's happened just kind of in their first year or two, but they end up being an entrepreneur. And I don't know what. It's interesting that's like I've seen that a common time over. Yeah, so cool. So you get out of school, walk us through your career up until coming up with the idea for Palm, and let's dive into it.
Yeah. So I actually graduated, and my first job out of college was as a data scientist, which
I'm
is
interested.
not my major at all. But I did take one ML class in college, and it was when AI was sort of starting to gain momentum, and it was a very interesting field. So I decided, why not dive in? I basically taught myself everything on the job, and
Okay.
yeah, so I worked as a data scientist and then as a machine learning engineer at a healthcare startup in San Francisco. And then I left that to start home.
Cool. So how did you come up with the idea for Palm? And then let's get into what exactly it is.
Yeah. Basically, when I moved to San Francisco, I had curbside composting for the first time, which is
Ah,
the city gives you a green bin, you're supposed to put your food waste in it, and then your city will compost it for you. And so I thought, this is awesome. It's going to be so easy. I'm going to do this. So I got my little, countertop bin. I started putting my food waste in there, and it was not easy. That keeping all your food waste in a bin on your countertop at room temperature, it gets stinky so fast, it attracts flies. You're using a compostable liner, it starts breaking down so quickly, and that creates a mess in the bin that you have to clean. So the whole process, the whole experience was not great, and it was time consuming. So you have to empty that bin every other day. And if you live in an apartment like I do, walking down to the garage, I would have 3-story walk
oh,
up
yeah.
every 2 days can be a pain. And so I was wondering, like, this is something that's so good for the environment. Composting is so needed. Why does this experience have to be something that I dread? It should be something
Yeah.
that I enjoy.
Interesting.
It should be something that I
Totally.
feel good about, not something that I dread. And so I tried to find other solutions. I would ask my friends, hey, do you compost? How do you collect your food scraps? What do you use? I taught different bins. I tried a carbon filter. I tried, the ones that are sealed very tight. Um, Nothing was giving me a good experience.
Sure.
And that's when I learned that some people keep their food waste in the freezer. And that way,
Yeah, interesting.
smell and the bags to break down. And so I live in an environment. My freezer is very small and I like my frozen food. So I did not have space in my fridge or my freezer. And talking to other people, they had a similar experience. And some people also were like, no, I don't want to put food waste next to my fresh food then to eat.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So then, the light bulb kind of went off and I was like, okay, what if you had a countertop lid that kept your food waste cold? That would solve all the problems. So I went back to my engineering days and I built a proof of concept and I tested it out. I gave it to a bunch of my friends to test out as well, other households in San Francisco, and it's an amazing solution because it's so simple, but it works incredibly well. You can put like the sticky stuff in there. They have keels, cheese, meat, seafood. They're 2.5 weeks and it won't smell. No flies. It's amazing.
Okay. No, I 100% agree with you, but I want to step back for a second.
Yes.
So, proof of concept.
Yeah.
What did you build and how did you build it?
Yeah. Okay. So, I wanted to build this actually like a mini fridge for my freezer
Okay.
glass, and I didn't want to use the tech that's in your fridge. It's very energy intensive for something that's so small. So
Sure.
I decided to use thermoelectric cooling, which is
Okay.
very low energy, and it works really well for small spaces. So you can actually just order all the parts off of Amazon and DigiKey, and I got like all the wiring, everything, and I just put it together, bought some insulation. It was it wasn't pretty, but it worked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. It is cool how much you can just literally order and it shows up within a few days or a day.
Yeah.
And you just like can make something and obviously as like a rough prototype like you
Right.
said, but like it's astronomically cool that you could do that now, right? And then if you have a 3D printer, you could build a little case and it could be like, your rough ideas, right?
Yeah.
Where before it would take months to do that.
Yes, that is so true. Yeah, and we have the internet, so we can move.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so you get these out to some people in San Francisco. Walk us through your iteration process up until saying like, oh, I really need to turn this into a real product.
Yeah. So it was really testing the cooling myself and with other people. So putting all kinds of things in there, using it with a compostable liner, using it without a compostable liner, making sure that the compostable liner is working now. Um,
Yeah.
and getting other people's feedback. So it was a very, it wasn't a great looking proof of concept. So I got a lot of feedback on user experience and what people were looking for, how they wanted to empty the bin, those sort of things.
Yeah,
So that was
interesting.
very helpful. And if the bag would get snagged on something, that would be really annoying for someone. So, I learned a lot from those initial tests on what I wanted the final product to look like. And ultimately it was such a good solution, such a simple but good solution to this problem that I wanted to bring it to life.
Very cool. Okay. So walk us through how the thing actually works. So I plug it in, walk us through that.
Yeah. So you do have to plug it in. It's got like a power base, the small power base, and that is what you plug in, and then the bin sits on top. So the bin is actually mobile. It's so if we are chopping vegetables on an island, you can leave there. You're barbecuing your backyard, you can move that side with you, and it's insulated, so it'll stay cold. And the way it works is, so I can start with why does food waste smell, or why does food smell?
Sure.
Food smells because of bacteria that grows, and that bacteria actually grows really fast. It can double in just 20 minutes. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's very fast. So your food is sitting out on a countertop at room temperature. That bacteria is growing very, very quickly, and it's stinky bacteria. So the problem that works is it keeps your food waste below a certain threshold where that bacteria cannot grow. And
Oh,
that
interesting.
way, the odor just doesn't uniform. So a lot of countertop fins try to mask the odor or prevent the odor from escaping with a part-in filter or a tight seal. Our fin actually just prevents the odor.
Yeah, because when you open it up,
Yes,
the smell comes out,
yes,
right? And then so you're not, yeah, okay, interesting.
exactly.
So if I have to, other than when I'm putting scraps in or taking use outside by the barbecue, like there's no battery inside of it, right? It's
No,
just like a
no.
okay. So I need to keep it on there at night or whatever.
Exactly. And
Okay.
so the cooling doesn't run all the time. It's
Right.
optimized so that it's more efficient. It only goes when it needs to.
Got it. Okay. And then there's an app, I understand.
Yeah,
How does that tie into the bin?
yes. So that power base also has a load cell so it can measure the rate of food waste that you're collecting. And that way
Okay.
we can track your impact and we can tell you your impact. So we'll track how much food waste you're diverting from landfills. We'll tell you how much methane you're preventing from going into the atmosphere.
That's cool.
We've actually made it super fun so you can follow your friends. So you can see how they're doing. You can see how you're doing. You can win badges, and that makes it more fun and keeps people engaged and interested.
Sure. No, that's really cool. So walk us through, how did you fund the company? Did you self-fund? Did you raise some money? Walk us through that.
Yeah, that's a great question. um so I did raise initially a friends and family round that
Okay.
was fairly small, and then I just had to be forced to be pretty scrappy. I haven't
Sure.
raised from angels or PCs yet.
Oh,
And
wow.
up consumer hardware is notoriously hard to raise money.
Can be, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
and you do have to get to like certain proof points. You got to
Yeah.
de-risk your business before you go searching for that funding. And so, I'm doing that. And yeah, but I've self-funded, done friends and family, and just been really scrappy. So I do those things myself, and I have a really, really small team of like freelancers for tangible.
Got it. No, that's a smart way of doing it. So I'm curious how like because you've kind of bootstrapped this and raised a little bit of money, like how have you actually gotten the manufacturing done, and when can people actually get their hands on one?
Yeah, so I'm actually launching a Kickstarter campaign on the 23rd of April, so next week, the day after Earth Day. And
Okay.
that Kickstarter campaign will allow people to pre-order the product and
Okay.
will help fund tooling.
Got it.
Yeah, so we're pre-tooling, we have our supply chain ready to go. We're really just looking for those pre-orders to fund that tooling and get our manufacturing process off demand.
Okay, so when are you ideally hoping, like by the end of the year, early next year? When are you thinking
Yeah.
things will actually be,
Mhm.
on people's counters?
Yeah, we're planning on shipping product in December.
Okay. Okay. Which isn't bad.
Yeah.
S- So I'm curious, how did you like come up with almost like the gamification and adding that app? Because I think it's like actually really cool factor around this whole thing. Like it reminds me of like what Nest does with Google, and
Mhm.
every month I get a thing saying like you saved X amount of energy,
Right.
and right, or leafs, I guess they call it. But
Yes. Yeah, and it makes you
yes,
feel good, right?
yeah,
Anything
totally.
makes you feel good. Yeah, so we kind of wanted the same thing. We wanted it to be a rewarding experience. We wanted you to feel good about it. We wanted you to be motivated to continue doing it. And then also, Combin is our first product. We want to build out product lines, and we
Okay.
want to build out a product line of products that fit seamlessly in your life and help you live more sustainably. So every one of our products will help you waste less, and we can add your impact to the app. So you can have an aggregate of all of your impact across all the
I see.
products in the app. So that would be really cool benefits.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I also want to talk about um well, it's dishwasher safe.
Yes.
I have no idea if the other bins are dishwasher safe, but I definitely do not want to put them in my dishwasher.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, so Palm Bin has an inner caddy, and that is
Okay.
where your food waste sits, and the inner caddy
Yeah.
is removable, so it makes transporting your food waste to your green bin or out of the compost bin really easy. And that inner
Yeah.
caddy also has a drop button. So you don't have to touch the mat.
Ah,
Your fingers will stay clean through into it. So that's a key feature. And people
100%
love,
key. Yeah.
yeah. So
Well, I
yeah,
know.
that inner caddy is dishwasher safe, and then
Okay.
we have two other removable components that are also dishwasher safe. So every touch of the bin that touches food waste is removable and dishwasher safe. So very easy to clean. That was important to us.
Yeah. No, totally. Because I know, like, even with the current green bin that we have, like, even my kids will use their like foot to like
Yeah.
open the lid, and you're like, yeah, but now you're walking around the house with like this,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly. Yeah. And the other cool thing we're doing is we're using sustainable materials. So, you can't use certain, we have to be very considerate about which sustainable materials we use, which bioplastics we use, because we do want it to be dishwasher safe.
yeah.
So I have a great materials engineer who has helped us find the right material for that as well.
So how did you find that person? Because well, we both know hardware can be really, really expensive. Sure, like to go from your prototype of parts you ordered from the internet to actually having a product with, sustainable materials and dishwasher safe and in a nice package, and
Yeah.
like it's very complicated to go from a rough prototype to a beautiful thing that has a bunch of nice to haves is not the right word, but like things that you don't have to have, but you want because of a number of reasons. Like you want it to be sustainable, but that adds another layer of complexity, right? Than if you just made it not sustainable.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I worked with an industrial designer and worked
Okay.
with a product development firm for
Okay.
to really bring this all. Yeah, I came to them with a concept, and then they helped me. I decided what the design is, what are these
Okay.
additional features that we're gonna include, and I did all of the custom interviews to figure out, which features we need to focus on and things like that. So
Okay.
yes,
So then how did you pick your firm to work with though to actually design the actual bin? Because that's challenging in itself. Like saying,
yeah,
because everybody's probably like, yeah, we can do it, but it's like, can
yeah,
you do
yeah, absolutely.
it?
And you have to trust them to understand the vision that you have as well.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough to live in San Francisco where there's a huge
sure.
community of builders and designers here. So just talking to people, getting people's feedback, and looking at what kinds of products these firms and designers have worked on before. So I picked people who have worked on home products, home appliances
Right,
in the past, and
right.
they have you can tell they're very aesthetic, and the products look very good, and you can by talking to them you can tell that user experience is like very important to them. So I found people who matched me on those levels.
Right. Okay. So when you say sustainable materials, what does that actually really mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for example, instead of plastic insulation made from fossil fuels, we're using recycled cellulose. So
Got it.
yeah, so what's really great about that is you can continue to recycle it. So we built in our
Ah,
product life cycle. You're done with it all day. You send it back to us. We try to repair it if we can. If we can't, then you take it apart. That recycled cellulose will then go into new pollens. And the same thing, the other material that we're using
ah,
is this bioplastic. It's a plastic plant-based biopolymer, and that material as well can be reground and reused into new garments. So it reduces our reliance on fossil fuels, but it's also where we've built it into our product life cycle where those materials will be reused.
got it. Okay. And then I think you just touched on it, but you have repairable for life. Like, so what happens if
Yeah.
I don't know, I drop it, break it, whatever.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Yeah. So repairability is great. And it's something that we actually had to decide very early on in the product development process because you
Sure.
have to design for modularity, you have to design for repair. You can't just glue things together. You have to put them together with screws so you can dig it apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I mean by repair for life is we have a facility where you can send your bin and we will repair it and send it back to you.
Gotcha.
We're very cognizant of the fact that we're bringing a new product to the market, and we want to make sure that it doesn't end up in a landfill.
Yeah, no, that's actually really cool. And actually it's probably a lot harder to design a product that's repairable
Yes,
than just throw it out, right? Yeah,
yeah,
interesting.
it's harder, and it's also more expensive because you have more
Yeah,
parts because of that. So you need more tools. Probably
right.
takes longer. Yeah.
Okay. So is the idea to get them manufactured kind of overseas and then shipped here? Is that still kind of the natural progression of and the most cost effective these days?
It's definitely the most cost effective, but we are actually manufactured in the US. And
Okay.
yeah, and the
Wow.
reason for that is as I mentioned before, that life cycle, we want to make sure with old fong bins, we can reuse that bioplastic into new fong bins. We can
Right.
reuse the recycled cellulose. So we want to keep it close to home. And then also that reduces our carbon footprint, not having to ship.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how did you find a manufacturer then in America to do this? Because
Yeah.
we know a lot of manufacturing went overseas. It seems to be starting to, some of it at least, to start to become slowly back. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah, I think it is. I
Okay,
honestly
okay,
think it is. And yeah, and the way I found our manufacturers is I've I am a full-time founder. I'm the only founder, and I really rely on my advisors and my mentors. And so,
okay,
this is my first physical product that I'm bringing to life. So I've surrounded myself with people who have done this before. And so they
got
have
it.
relationships with manufacturers and they know, they've worked with them before. They know which ones are good. And so they are sort of advising me and directing me on these things.
Okay. No, that makes sense. So how did you find some of those mentors and advisors? Because everybody says get a mentor, get an advisor,
Yeah.
but that, like
Yeah.
saying that and getting them is actually really challenging.
Yeah, so funny enough, the materials engineer that's been helping me out, I actually, cold messaged her on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she had a couple webinars about sustainable plastics that I listened to, and I was, I felt like our values really aligned on, why you should use sustainable plastics. And so if I cold messaged her on LinkedIn, she responded. We had like some great conversations, and she has that was it. So that's how I found one. Another one I found through through the design network in San Francisco as well.
Okay.
So yeah, just talking to people and meeting new people and just getting really like integrating myself in the community.
Yeah, that's actually really good advice. Like, sure, obviously, in your case, like being in San Francisco really helps you in a lot of cases. But I think for people that don't live in a big city, to your point of like you just went to a webinar, which obviously
Yeah.
you could be in the same geographical region or not, and then you reached out to them and then they became your mentor, whether you're geographically in the same area, it doesn't matter, and like how you got it, but
Yeah.
went about doing that. But I guess the question is what did you put in that cold LinkedIn message to hopefully get that reply? And you did get that reply. So like, what did you say? Because we all get tons of spam
Yeah.
everywhere,
Mhm.
not just LinkedIn. Like, how did you make yours stand out and actually get read and responded to?
Yeah, that's a great point. So I sent her a message directly after one of the webinars, and
Ah,
I talked about what resonated with me, with what she was
okay.
speaking about. And then she is a woman engineer, so we were able to connect on that level as well. So that helped. But yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
No,
You're right. Like it's amazing if you don't live in a big city and you're looking for mentors. It is amazing how much people are willing to help you. And
100%.
I think a lot of founders don't realize that, but you just need to ask. And there are so many people who want to help you, want to support you, and find
Yep.
it very energizing to be part of like a startup and
Yep.
work through problems.
I think the other thing that people forget about is they were you. A lot of people that will mentor were you at one point. So they understand where you're at because they might have been there like a few years or decades before, depending on and so I think not everybody will say yes or write back to you. You will get some no's, or you'll never hear back. That happens. But I think majority of people will genuinely at least get back to you, try to maybe point you in the right direction, or if you're really lucky, like we'll say, yeah, I'll mentor you or
Yeah.
whatever, right? And so, but if you don't ask, none of that stuff will ever happen to you. Like no, I don't know any mentor that's ever written to somebody and said like, hey, can I mentor you?
Yeah,
Like that just doesn't happen, right?
exactly.
First off, that would be really weird. But so like if you don't ask, you will never find a mentor.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it's a kind of a game of numbers. The more you reach out to people, the more assets you're going to get.
100%. Yeah. Well, no, totally. Well, and the cool thing too is you don't have to give up equity. Well, maybe, but I'm assuming did you give up equity to get your mentorship?
So my formal advisors, yes. But I
Okay.
also have mentors who are just, willing to help.
Yeah, which I think is also super important, right? It's like if you raise a little bit of money, you're bootstrapping, you had to give a little bit of equity away. But where I think a lot of people think they need to raise, millions of dollars, maybe tens of millions of dollars to build a hardware product, give away so much equity that even if they sold for, $1 billion, which is
Yeah.
really hard to do, no matter what you are, you might only get a tiny percentage of that because you gave away the whole company throughout your whole journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I think it's actually good to raise a little bit and just be really scrappy. It really forces you to look at your business in a different way. You're forced to look at how quickly can I be profitable. So
Yeah.
your focus shifts to building and building an product for a customer. So I think that's, yeah, I think that's helped me well.
No, makes sense. So you're launching this crowd-funded campaign. You're using Launch Kit right now. Walk us through
Yeah.
advice or learnings that you've had and kind of how's that process gone? Because it can be really challenging.
So I'm launching on Kickstarter, and then I'm using Launchboom. They're a marketing agency, basically a consulting marketing agency for crowdfunding
Okay.
campaign. So their engagement is great. Crowdfunding is a totally different space, right? The
Yeah.
people who It's a great community because it's a bunch of backers who are early adopters. I've been very excited about trying new technology, and it's such a great community because they want to give feedback. They want to tell
Yeah.
you what they think about your product, and they want to be part of the process of product development. They want to know, how is manufacturing doing? They want to see pictures. They're very engaged, which is
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
And it's also a different audience that you are marketing to. So,
Yeah.
so it's so Launchroom has helped me understand how to market to them. And the thing with crowdfunding is it's all about the work you do before you launch. So you have to spend months basically building out a mailing list, talking to your backers, to your future backers, and you put in a lot of work up front before you launch. So.
Okay. Any advice or things you've learned along the way that maybe you were just like, oh, I had no idea you needed to do X?
Um, yeah, I would say I would say for crowdfunding, um, you definitely need you definitely need to have a like when you run an ad campaign, you need to have you obviously need to have like clear metrics and goals for what you're looking for. But marketing is sort of this new thing that I've learned since my background is engineering.
Sure.
So I've learned a lot, and it's all about running a process. Everything is always about running a process. No matter
Yeah.
what you're doing, you are running a process, and marketing and running ads is no different. So I think that's important. I think people can get sucked into, just running ads to run ads, but it's very important to like how to process and stick to it. And I think Launchboom helps you do that.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Well, and then tracking it too, right? Everybody just thinks I'll run a bunch of ads and then all this money will come in. It's like, well, that's the hope, but that's usually not how it,
Yes.
and it's a lot of trial and error, I'm assuming too, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of trial and error, and like you said, tracking it so you can scale up those certain areas and scale down numbers.
And I assume you also mean mediums as well. Like you might say Instagram's working really well, but say Twitter's not, or vice versa, or whatever. You say, okay, like Twitter's not working, so let's just like spend the Twitter amount
Yeah.
on top of the Instagram amount, like that kind of thing too.
Yeah, that kind of thing. And then also just even outside of ads, really thinking about what your other channels can be. You can have more organic channels. For example, with us in Bin, we've been partnering with community compost groups. So they're groups, local
Oh,
groups that will come pick up your food waste and compost it for you. And they love our products because they have customers who drop their service because they don't want to plant their food waste anymore because it smells too bad. So we developed a
interesting.
partnership with them, which is super helpful because we're aligned on the same goals, which is to increase participation in composting. So trying different channels like that is really important until you find what works.
Right. Okay. So how did you get that partnership? Again, did you reach out to them? They reach out to you? You show up some of their events? Walk us through how you made some of those partnerships.
Yeah, so some of them I reached out to them, and then some of them actually bought my Instagram ads and reached out to me. So
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so it's like a combination of the two. But we're very aligned on our interests, so it makes sense. It's a win-win for both of us.
Sure. Well, and the nice thing too is you're basically building a better mousetrap. So people already know what the problem you're solving because they have the problem and
Yes.
they've never been able to find a solution.
Yes.
Right? So you don't have to create like a new category. You're just building a better version of, a pain point that people hate already.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Okay, interesting. So I'm curious, like, is there anything that you had to kind of cut out that you maybe want to add in a future version? And like, if that was the case, why did you have to cut it out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say in the future, I'm actually going to go probably the opposite direction and create a
Okay.
game with less features.
Ah, smart.
So this is sort of like our premium product. It will give you the best user experience, and you can track your impact. We also want to create a game where, it's very basic. It solves the problem itself, but no, it doesn't do anything else.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so like obviously Apple does that all the time, right? They launch a premium version and then, they either launch at the same time or a while later, like a, less premium version. So like, what made you come up with that idea then?
Yeah. So the reason we're focused on the web premium version right now is, we're trying to do all these things with our supply chain and our product
Yeah.
cycle, and those things are expensive. Those things are expensive to set up. They're expensive to run. So we do need to have a premium product kind of get us to like the volume where we can reduce our costs. And so
Right.
once we have that all set up, then we can work on creating more more basic versions with less features that sort of use the same supply chain.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Actually, that's really good advice for people too, right? Like you almost need to make, I think a lot of people's mind would be the other way, right?
Yeah.
But it makes sense why you're doing it in the order you're doing it. So I'm curious, because you came from an engineering background, what advice do you give to other people that are looking to maybe do their own startup, whether it's in the hardware space or not? That, because I find sometimes people kind of in the trenches working for somebody else find it really hard to transition to doing their own thing.
Mhm.
So what advice do you give to people, and how did you kind of decide to just go for it one day?
Yeah. So I think it's really important to be passionate about what you start doing. You have to
Sure.
leave your job and work on something full time all day, every day. You
Yeah.
have to be passionate about it because it's going to take a lot to get from 0 to 1. It's going to take a lot from you, a lot of pushing from you, and you need that passion. So that you got to find something that you're super passionate about. For me, that was climate change is a huge problem. People need to live sustainably, and the only way they're
Yeah.
going to do it is if it's easy. So we got to build product that makes it easy for people, and that's I believe in that 100%. I think that's where the future is. So I that was enough for me to say I
Right.
want to focus my life on this. So yeah, so I think it's about finding passion in what you're doing and just taking that leap. It's just a leap.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And the other thing too, you mentioned it earlier and you just mentioned again that your mission is bigger than just building a bin. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. It's just like you're trying to be part of the solution for climate change, and you're going to try to build other products to help with that's your real mission.
Yes.
And then you're building products to help that bigger mission, right? And I think that probably, like, I think a lot of people don't think that big when they're trying to build a company.
Mhm.
They think like, even below, they're just like, well, I'm going to build this one thing and it's going to change the world. It's like, it can, but the chances of that happening it's really, really hard to do, right?
Yes.
Where if you do it with multiple little products and you keep this big mission in mind, and then you can partner even with other products, you're helping a bigger cause than just trying to like do one thing that revolutionizes everything.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You're expanding your impact.
Yeah. Well, and others, right? And then you hope you inspire other people.
Yes, exactly.
Very cool. So I'm curious, things supposed to come out kind of hopefully end of the year. What if, like, between the launch of the Kickstarter campaign next week and, you know, when people actually have this physical product, like, walk us through kind of that journey and what can people kind of expect, you know, in the months leading up to actually getting something, because it's really like December seems far away, but it's really not really that far away. We're almost like 5 months into the
Yeah.
month or the year. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah. So really, we're going to be tooling is the big thing. You know, we're getting our manufacturing processes off the ground. So we're going to start tooling.
Right.
We're going to start with like the first prototype. We've done a lot of design for manufactured, but we may have to keep some things. So all of
Right.
that's the whole process. It can take months, which is why December is your earliest would be in the ship.
Got it. Okay. So it's just that's how it works. Okay. That makes sense. So we're kind of coming into the show, but is there anything else that you maybe want to pass along or mention that we haven't covered yet today?
I don't think so.
That's good. Perfect. Well, then how about we close with mentioning where people can get more information about yourself, Palm, and any other links you want to mention?
Yeah, so we mentioned this before, but we are launching on Kickstarter on April 23rd, so you can pre-order then. And we'll be offering the biggest discount on that first day. So if you're interested, definitely want to buy on that first day. And you can find us at Palmvin on Kickstarter.com.
Very cool. And one final question. Worldwide, people can buy this thing, just North America. Where's the
That's a
first
great
version's
question.
going to be able to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're only shipping to the US for now for this
Okay.
Kickstarter campaign.
Got it. Okay. Makes total sense. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be on the show, and I look forward to keeping in touch with you. And I'm excited to get my hands on one of these
Yes.
things when it ships.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. This was great. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yep. You as well. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk soon.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. Please visit our website at buildingthefutureshow.com to join the free community, sign up for our newsletter, or to sponsor the show. The music is done by Electric Mantra. You can check him out at electricmantra.com and keep building the future.